Nick, how are you, man?
I'm good, thank you, mate.
Good to
A
have you
bit,
on.
yeah, feeling not so fresh after a Christmas party last night, but
Was that a Christmas party you were gigging at or you were attending? Or
attending
both?
no a function band that play for the London Function Band.
Okay.
They had a very fun. We did what is it called? Flight Club. It's like the dart
Mm,
thing. We
okay.
did that, and then all ended up, as musicians do, late nights in Soho. We ended up in Cheeros, which is
Mhm.
like this music venue, Mayfair Way, and
Okay.
where they have a live band on every single night till 1 o'clock, and inevitably, I ended up playing for about half an hour, which was probably not a good idea after half a bottle of prosecco, but um, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
your chops start to fall, but yeah, your ego goes right up. You're like, yeah, I'm nailing this until you hear
Oh,
it back.
it was the bleak moment of is it because I think it's supposed to be a singers' night, and this girl got up and said she wanted to do um the George Michael, what is it, this Christmas, and we so
Last
we
Christmas?
last Christmas, that's the
Yeah.
one. So it was the moment of doing that in the key of E last night,
Mm.
and I thought I probably shouldn't be playing right now. Yeah, I'm not getting paid for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll jump up and jam anything, but I'm not gonna be doing function tunes.
Yeah, yeah. How are you doing? When do you break for Christmas?
Oh, so I've got 4 gigs this weekend. I've got a couple of I've
4.
4. I've got
Blimey.
yeah, Friday I'm with a little duo. We're doing a few little Christmas tunes and some jazz numbers, and then a solo gig in a little bar, and then I'm doing 2 pantos on Sunday, and then I've got another panto Christmas Eve morning, and that's it. That's me done.
Bosh.
I
Whereabouts is the panto?
It's down in Portsmouth, the King's Theatre,
Oh, yeah.
which is a really nice little theatre. Like I started doing, I'm sure I mentioned this loads of times. So anyone who's listened regular knows already that I started doing reading gigs about a year or so ago, about 18 months, because I got tired of coming home at 4 in the morning. I've got kids. I'm the other side
Mm.
of 40. I'm like, I don't really want to be dragging myself up and down the country at 2, 3, and 4 in the morning. And a mate of mine said, "Why don't you start doing look at theatre gigs?" It's like, yeah, but my reading is like just it's a couple of months of work, and then you can start applying for them. So yeah, and I managed to somehow get a foot in down at the King's Theatre down in Portsmouth, which is like an hour and a half from
Wow.
me. But yeah, I'm kind of getting regular callbacks, so
So
it's cool.
instead of getting back at 4 in the morning, you're leaving
It's
at 4
yeah,
in the morning.
yeah. So, but it's all right. I mean, it's there just to. I mean, I really really enjoy doing them. Like it's something totally
Mm.
different. Like I was never a reader. Um, I was always, I'll learn stuff by ear. I'll put the track on. I'll listen
Yeah,
to it
yeah.
that way, and then I'll just go and busk it on a gig, or we'll do like endless amounts of rehearsals.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but doing this, it's just like completely the other side of music. But it's more like I don't want to say the proper side of music, but that's kind of how it feels.
Less lasagna,
Yeah,
more panto dames.
yeah.
Um, so how did you start reading? What was the process?
I got the is it up here? The Modern Method of Guitar, 1, 2, and
Is
3
that
by William
Berkeley
Levitt,
thing?
the Berkeley book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
awesome.
got that. I got the real book. There was a couple of people that were doing the Warner hotels that I was sort of dropping them a message like, "This is what I want to try and do. What do you recommend?" And he just said, "Get that book. Get the William Levitt
Oh.
book. Get a real book. Doesn't have to be the jazz book. It could be the pop book, the R&B. Doesn't matter. Just start reading charts and just seeing if you can." And so that's what I did.
Do you not? It's interesting, isn't it? I think reading as a guitarist gets so much hate, and
Mm.
there's so much because when you learn violin as a kid, you're reading music from day one.
Yeah.
There's no violin tab.
Yeah.
You know, you might get some melodies or learn some stuff by ear, but you are reading from day one.
Yeah.
And same with saxes and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for guitar, it's your dad or your whoever starts
Mm.
teaching you a couple of chords, and then 3 chords later, and you can play the entire Ed Sheeran catalog.
Yeah.
And, and so yeah, it's really interesting. But I'm Yeah, I feel like it is. You just have to do as much of it as possible.
Yeah,
It's like, I
yeah,
mean, I'm intrigued about the method. I've never. I think I've got the first book,
yeah,
but yeah, I've never had a look through them. But it's
yeah.
really interesting.
I didn't finish it. I'll say that. I mean, it's like this thick. It's like 2-3 inches thick, and I think I got towards the end of the first book as it starts to move into all the, flats and sharps keys. I was then at a point that I was then messaging people, MDs that were putting gigs out. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And so,
Great.
yeah, Greece was my first one, which is quite an easy read. And yeah, from there, I'll just put myself forward for as many as possible,
Wow, that's
which is really
wicked.
cool. Like I said, and you kind of feel like a proper musician, like you're there in the pit with the orchestra. There's all the other instruments. We've all got the sheet music. There's an MD, and
Mm.
it just feels a little bit more
Yeah,
musicy.
it's tricky, isn't it? I find with I had somebody around the other day who was playing who brought a pop guy who is finished at BIM and was wanting to learn to read, and he's doing some sort of theatre like Amdram thing, and
Yeah,
he brought the pad around, and he was like, oh yeah, just I've listened to the recordings and it's very different, the
yeah,
soundtracks or whatever, and it's very different to what's written. And we're kind of doing some stuff on that as well as the dots.
yeah.
And I got this pad and it was literally no slashes. The whole thing was written out.
Mm.
And I was like, God, this is harder than like any, most West End pads have
Yeah. What was
less
the
written.
pad?
It was, what was it, Heather's,
Right. Okay, I've not done that.
um, which is kind of rocky, but yeah, it was, you can tell it's somebody's kind of transcribed some bits it was proper, but I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm not sure I'd like to sit down and try and sight read that for the first time.
So there's a couple of them. I don't know if I've got it here actually. If you're really interested. So I did Legally Blonde. It was the second show that I did, and fucking hell, like everything, all the chords are notated.
Oh, absolutely. God, the that that split there gives
Yeah,
me absolute anxiety of just being
it's
like, it's like that's when the orchestra is like, cool, we've got two guitar parts. What do we do? Oh, let's just chuck it on one.
yeah. Well, apparently, because John Grigson.
Yeah, yeah,
So I had him on, and he said that the reason, like when it was on Broadway, they had two guitars, and
yeah.
I can't remember if they had two when they're on the West End. But no, I think there are
I
two
think
on
it was
Broadway.
just Callard, I think, doing it in London,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
And
Yeah,
I think when they moved it to London, everything was moved to one guitar. And he said that's why it's literally such a bitch to read.
yeah,
And like both John, I've spoken to Adam Goldsmith about it, and they all say the same thing. It's like, look, you'll get what's written is usually 9 times out of 10, it's not been transcribed by a guitar player. It's been transcribed by a pianist. And what they essentially sometimes, well, most of the time, they're giving you either left or right hand piano. Most of those chord voicings aren't playable, or we would finger it completely differently. Just use it as a skeleton.
yeah. What I found interesting since COVID, and I've had this with, I do quite a lot of Dep on Hadestown, and
Mm,
on that, the pad is literally a show transcription.
yeah,
And it used to be the opposite way around. If they had I don't know if you know the music, but it's all kind of folky bluesy. It's just a single acoustic guitar
yeah,
on stage band. They've got strings. It's really hit music, really really cool stuff, kind of folky jazz, and you're Travis picking the whole show.
nice,
And yeah, and you have like little prepared guitar things. You put like foam mutes, you put wire in the strings, just to
cool.
make it even
What was
more
the name of the show?
Hades Town.
Hades to HAY.
HAD, like
Yeah,
Hades.
yeah,
It's all about the Greek gods,
right,
Orpheus,
right, right.
Eurydice, and stuff. But yeah, set in this kind of I don't know where it's supposed to be set. It's kind of like almost like Western America, but or something. But then in the underworld,
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing. But yeah, Anais Mitchell, who's a big American folk singer songwriter, she wrote it. The concept album with like Justin Vernon from Bon Iver. It's really really cool.
okay, cool,
And
cool. I'll get that out.
for that, they had it used to just be a lead sheet, like slashes
Yeah,
and slashes,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they just found that whenever they got, all of the guys who were sharing it in Broadway were like proper folk people,
yeah,
Americana people, and so they would, weren't even using the dots. But then when you would have like Broadway subs coming in,
Yeah.
it would just sound like completely different. So during COVID, they just transcribed one of the guys doing the show. So
Fuck.
the pad is entirely written out,
Oh my
um,
God.
which is kind of good. But then I remember preparing it, and not saying I've ever done much Travis picking, especially for
Mm.
like 2.5 hours straight, but um, it's the thing of like, oh yeah, kind of learn the pad and then do your own thing, which is kind of the worst thing you can always say to somebody, because it's
Yeah.
you've got everything in front of you. So of course people are, MDs get used to that, hearing that, but then like
Yeah.
do your thing, and you're hearing people who play it completely different.
Yeah.
I kind of think that's the worst. That's even worse than just a page of slashes and then getting
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've noticed that a few times since COVID, of where they used COVID as an excuse to kind of get oh, why don't you just update the parts? So I'm seeing more and more with when you're getting parts, and it's like, oh, this is actually really really well written now.
Mm.
And I'm seeing less of kind of like 5-note piano clumps,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
which you're looking, you're like, cool,
I can't play that. I don't have two. Yeah. I can't use both hands.
I mean, I'm from Norfolk, so I'm supposed to have extra fingers. But yeah, even with that,
Even you were struggling.
yeah, even that, yeah, my seventh pinky couldn't get around that. It's
Yeah. No,
um,
yeah, I don't like. I've got a running joke with some of the people that I do regular shows with. Like, I'll be put on something, and I just send them a screenshot or a photo of one of the chords that they've put. I was like, how are we voicing this? Really, how are we voicing this 1/8 note, and then we're moving on to a C chord? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a bit of a joke.
It's a tricky battle, because I find the response of what you're going to play, most of the time they don't even know what the guitar part sounds like. If you gave it
Yeah,
to a piano player, or they don't know what's possible, they don't really know we can't do stacked fifths and stuff like that, or stacked seconds as easy as
yeah,
you can on piano, compared to
yeah,
where most of our voicings are, like a lot of fourths and stuff like that. So some MDs will either expect it to be different every time if there's that stuff written, or it will be or the complete other way, of where they just expect it to be, you're trying to play the part absolutely no taz.
yeah, yeah. It's I mean, I think that's the additional challenge for reading. I don't know if it's the same for every other instrument, but that's the additional challenge is, can you take what's been written by a piano player and then turn it into what a guitar player would play?
Yeah, I don't know what you think about this, but I feel like the most, being a rhythm section player, especially in that sort of scenarios, everyone just wants it to sound good.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of that is stylistic awareness and
Mm.
like score interpretation. You're like, you know, always you're looking at something, you're like, cool, I can tell that's supposed to be something that sounds like Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, but it's been
Yeah.
written by a piano player who doesn't know how to write that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so I kind of think like the stylistic thing and the sound is probably more important.
Definitely.
Is especially, there's I don't know, I meet so many. It seems like all the guitarists everyone gets so in their head about just like, oh, I've got to be able to read a million notes at once. But then
Mm.
the reality is, if you get a page of slashes and it says, I don't know, um, edge U2, delay
Start.
part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, cool.
Chuck Berry esque.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
all right, okay.
Or whatever that is. So I kind of feel like that's for our role of bridging, sometimes a lead instrument, but the majority of the time, 90% of
Yeah.
the time, we're just comping
Yeah.
and being part of a a groove engine.
Yeah.
It's like actually, knowing when you should be doing your 2 and 4 chinks,
Yeah.
and that sort of stuff. I think the stylistic awareness is, yeah, it's probably more important than getting your D flat major key signatures down.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it was on Greece. It was the first, because that was the first show I'd done. Or probably actually the first show I'd done in about 10 years. And I was pretty shaky. I was pretty nervous. And we get through rehearsals, we get through the dress, and we get to the show. And I just had to bite my tongue and go up to the MD and say, look, hopelessly devoted. He went, yeah. I said, right, what's written do you want me to play what is written, or do you just want me to follow the chords above? And he said, I'll just follow the chords above. I was like, think fuck for that, because some of these voicings, like, I don't know what it is. And that's kind of when I clocked that this is probably right-hand piano. So there's no bass notes. Everything was inversions, but it was like
Yeah.
the weirdest, like they were like an inverted E minor chord that went G. It went, oh fuck, man. I think it went G, B, E, D. I was like, I can't, like, if I can voice that, like but it's going to sound shit because everything's really close. All the notes are really
Yeah,
close.
yeah.
I said, I could just play like an E minor. And he said, yeah, just do that. I was like, oh, fuck. I'm trying to read it. And first of all, it sounds awful. And second of all, it's a struggle to play and read.
Yeah, and also the likelihood is with stuff that if stuff is specifically written out for a reason,
Mm,
it's like, well, in that case, it's like, what are they after? They're the dissonance of the E and the D,
yeah,
or is the rest of it covered in orchestration? Have you got
yeah,
a keys player playing that same voicing, of which it doesn't really matter what notes you play,
yeah.
and maybe like maybe you need to pad it out lower.
Mm,
It's it's less about reading and more about like the psychology of what do I actually need to do.
yeah, yeah. And and I said to some friends of mine that they've also that do this, and they all kind of alluded to the same thing. And because I'd spent, I don't know, 20 years just listening and just using my ear, trying to think, where can I fit in? What voicing does this need? Is there a piano player? Well, there's two piano players. So I could probably get away with octaves.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so like not playing what's written and just using my ear and interpreting what's on the pad as a guitar part, I found was a useful skill.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's not in any books.
But then you look at like Greece. I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but who played on the original film soundtrack? I bet it
Mm.
was like some fucking like Tommy Tedesco or someone like that, or
Yeah, yeah.
some proper kind of hip session guys who will be playing stuff. They're not going to be sitting there reading written voicings. It will be that
Mm.
there's probably about four of them and a baritone player and a bass player, all
Yeah.
just padding out these orchestrations and doing stuff, and then it gets converted to a show, the musical theatre, and
Mm.
devils get their hands on it, and it suddenly gets diluted, and then you're reading a fourth version of someone's got this original material, Chinese whispers, and by the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
it gets to you, it's like
God help me.
exactly nothing like the original.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's fun. It's good. Like it keeps you sharp. It keeps you musical.
Yeah, well, and I think I don't know, maybe not stress, but I think the thing I'm kind of seeking to try and keep my brain engaged and keep me happy, and in my profession, is that I'm just doing stuff that's different and is kind of scary.
Mm. Yeah.
And you kind of, I've always liked that, and the uncertainty of there's certain stuff that you're like, cool. I mean, I've got a gig on Saturday of where I know it's paper music.
Mm.
They haven't got stuff scanned. I'm going
Yeah.
to turn up. It's all probably going to be super easy stuff, but I know I'm going to actually have to not be able to do anything till I turn up in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fun. That's kind of fun compared to, I don't know, the reality with most shows these days is that you do, unless you're involved in workshopping or I've done a few emergency cover, especially COVID time, of where everyone would be, that the hilarity of somebody would be going in to do certain show, and then they'd do their COVID, everyone had to do COVID tests on the
Mm.
morning, and somebody would get pinged, and you're like, cool, well, it looks like somebody's going to have to siren the show tonight,
Yeah.
which is, yeah, the best thing ever, because you can make some absolute corkers, and
Yeah.
everyone is just happy for you to be there.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know if I don't know if I'm quite there yet. Turning up to a gig with just the pads here, but you don't get to look at it beforehand. I think I would probably be a little bit. That would be a bit
yeah,
squeaky, I think, for me. But
I mean, at least if there's anything notoriously tricky, I mean, I'm not sure anyone could particularly, get like, hey, do you want to come like cold read Hamilton
Yeah.
in 10 minutes? You know, I've never heard the show. I've no idea what it's about. Oh,
Yeah.
there's a banjo. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the reality is with most kind of jobbing stuff, it's like, you know, on Saturday I'm going to turn up and it's going to be, I'm 90% of the stuff is going to be slashes, or I'm going to be
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
show two or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's yeah. I don't know, the the music you learn when you kind of practice sight reading on.
Mm.
I mean, I did Nijo when I moved to London from about 18. I mean, I still maintain that was the hardest music I've ever read.
Okay.
You know, every week you're reading new big band stuff, and not much in the way of like straight ahead Freddie Green. Most of it is the guitar is a voice. You know, Nijo the usual big band layout, but they had
Mm.
perk, they had a dedicated flute, they had a French horn, extra trumpet.
Yeah.
So the guitar is like, you know, often you'll be playing like a line that's doubled with trumpet or a lot of flute stuff, you know, all the textural stuff. So
Yeah.
you're turning up and something's in, you know, 7 or at 200 BPM, and you've got no slashes and you've got lines, and you're like, oh, cool. And
Fuck.
that's the yeah, yeah.
Ah.
And you're with a bunch of, you know, everyone else can perfectly read stuff, but yeah, you know, you're reading guitar lines written out by a sax player, which
Yeah.
obviously won't translate. But so that was literally the hardest music I've probably read, compared to most of the stuff you read in a working environment,
Mm.
unless it's some kind of crazy classical thing, or I don't know, you're having to sight read Brian May or something like that.
Yeah.
Most of
Yeah.
the time, it's like, you know, I'm just playing cowboy chords, or
Yeah. Yeah. We can only hope. So yeah, I think you're the third or fourth person that's mentioned Nijo. So could you like just expand about what you did, what
yeah.
your time was, what it was like?
So when I was to go back a tiny bit, from the age of 3, no, I'm joking. Um, when I was, I think probably 15 or 16 or so, I just,
I'll tell you what. If we're going to go back, why don't we go back right to the start?
oh,
Let's go right back to. So, what got you into music? What got you into playing guitar? And we'll circle back to,
um,
to the youth orchestra.
so my dad, he had a guitar. There was a
Mm.
guitar that lived under my bed, which I can't remember. Annoyingly, I think it probably went to the tip, but I think it was like a really old, like catalog guitar, and it only
Yeah.
has 3 strings on it. But I just remember picking it up because of watching, you know, all these TV shows where people are playing guitar.
Mm.
I mean, I was around in the days like Drake and Josh and stuff like that. I don't know if you on like
Oh,
Nickelodeon.
my daughter is obsessed with that show.
Yeah, yeah, but
It's 20 years old now, but it's one of her favorite shows.
yeah, yeah. They're all about 50, and, you know,
Mm.
they've got tattoos on their faces now or something. But yeah, I remember watching stuff like that. Or I mean, my dad always had stuff like, he really likes Pink Floyd, he likes Dire Straits, so that stuff was always on. And I don't know, we you know, we watched Jules Holland all the time. There was always a lot of music on TV and kind of
Yeah.
going on. My uncle played guitar as well, and had stuff. So I was kind of always around it, and I think I don't know, it always attracted was a big attraction to me. I loved the music. I was listening to that stuff. Got into like Linkin Park, some kind of pretty heavy stuff, a lot of indie music. Um, and yeah, and I remember we had my primary school head teacher randomly. He came in my last year when I was in primary school, and he is this Canadian guy, and he started a lunchtime guitar club. So
Mm.
just the school bought all these absolute, you know, like a bunch of like tiny half-size classical guitars, and we'd go and play. You know, he'd teach us like Three Blind Mice or something.
Right.
And I got really into it and was kind of playing. And I remember he would just kind of sit there jamming some like you know, chunky power chord blues stuff.
Yeah.
And I got him to show me a couple of things. I remember him showing me the, you know, the kind of classic blues ending, the do 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 do,
Hmm.
and it was just mind blowing to me, you know, hearing that
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
sound and being like, oh, I don't really. Again, I wasn't reading music, but being like, cool, that sounds so cool. I recognize that sound.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I just got pretty fanatical with it after that, and we'd just be playing. I'd be playing at home all the time. I'd be playing Call of Duty with my mates
Mm.
whilst practicing and playing, Avenged Sevenfold or something.
In the lobby between games, just right, guys. I'm
Literally
just running altered scales for 5 minutes. I'm back in.
during the game,
Yeah.
I'd get killed, and I'd be sitting there like practicing some like Pantera or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, which I wasn't very popular on the games for probably that reason, but
Yeah.
I was playing from very, very young. We were really, really fortunate to have a great music service, and I'm from Norwich in Norfolk, I should say,
Yeah.
kind of outside there between Norwich and Great Yarmouth, which is, we had such a good music service where there was so much going on, and if you went to a regular state school, you could still experience, like, I was going to these guitar groups once a week. I later then went to, they have a really great county jazz band, which was like a big band. And we're doing all these things, which was all, all amazing teachers, really high levels of playing. And because Norfolk is such a, spread out, and you would just, there would be so many people coming to this thing. It was kind of bonkers thinking about it, what the state of it is now, but with music education in general. But it was such a great time, I think, on that tail end of just there being such good public services for
Mm.
music education. And in my village of Strumpshaw, which is, I'm going to say probably 300 people, we had 3 guitar teachers,
Wow.
and they all taught each other, which is the other
Yeah.
funniest thing. So
Okay.
that it was kind of like you would go to one guy who was a retired head teacher. He'd teach you some cowboy chords, and
Mm.
um, and then his teacher was the next guy, and
Yeah.
it kind of went up like that, and then
Graduate up the ladder.
yeah, which was pretty amazing. So I had this amazing teacher, Jasper Smith, who was, I think he lived in London, studied in London. And we used to go through all the stuff. He got me through my grades, doing all the rock stuff. But he was also a passionate jazz guitarist. So
Mm.
he pushed me towards learning some, trying to get some jazz stuff together. And I couldn't really get my head around the theory side of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I liked the sound of clean guitar yet.
Yeah. Okay.
But we just do some, like, I don't know if you checked out like Ted Green of all that.
Yeah.
We looked at some kind of solo stuff to try and get some finger stuff going on. And then graduating to the reading bit, I didn't read a note because you didn't have to in rock school days. You could just put the tracks on and
Yeah.
shred along. He said, "Oh, we need." I'm doing an Amduram version of Joseph, or is it Les Mis? And he said, I'm on guitar, but we don't have a bassist. Do you want to come and we can both do a bit of bass and a bit of guitar?
Nice.
So I went, and I think my first ever Amduram was doing Les Mis.
Yeah.
In some
How old
kind
were you?
maybe 14, 15, something like that.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, he was such a legend.
I mean, not only for you, but I think to have a teacher that's willing to pull you in to come in to do a show, I think is
yeah,
incredible.
And I mean, it was you were playing with people. I remember we had this, some of the people in the band are, were like well and truly retired / pensioner age. Then you'd have a bunch of like Perry teachers in the area, but
Yeah.
it was always, my first theatre experience was doing like an 18-piece or something band with like 6 keyboards, getting paid about £15 for the week, which kind of
Nice.
covered my bus fare. But yeah, just being there, and the hilarity of having to actually, because I couldn't read a note of it. We're working through it, and I just remember going home and tabbing the whole thing out. So I spent hours tabbing out Les Mis, which is such a depressing.
Do you still have it?
Oh, I could make bare money of that on online on on Patreon or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was such an amazing experience, and I kind of, we ended up both doing a lot of that stuff. But yeah, he moved to Australia, so I was kind of without a teacher from probably about 16. Um,
Hmm.
so, but I just started doing jazz band in Norwich, of which I kind of got. My mum was like, "It'll be good for you."
Yeah.
I turned up and really liked blues, really liked John Mayer. Couldn't read a note. Didn't really like jazz, but
Yeah.
they did. The first thing we did was Jazz Police, Gordon Goodwin, and I was kind of
Hmm.
sitting behind the main guitarist, just watching him. And he was like, "Oh, you should have a go at this." He taught me the riff, and then he's like, "When you get to this point, solo in G minor
Yeah.
blues, G blues or whatever." And so I did that, and my the one lucky thing of doing the one blues guitar solo in a big band piece kind of they let me stay. They're like, "Oh, cool, try and learn some proper chords and stuff, and maybe you can do this."
Yeah. That's
Um,
cool.
yeah, which is pretty amazing. I then went on to do junior academy
Yeah.
when I kind of got more into jazz again, being more of a rock and blues guy. But Gareth Lecrae, who runs it, he describes himself as a closeted blues guitarist who's stuck on flute. Um, So I think he kind of liked my vibe, even though I couldn't play jazz or do anything. But I kind of managed to get in on that, and so every Saturday I'd go up to London and do
Okay.
a couple of hours of like jazz combo. Um, I mean, they were doing jazz, I was doing something.
Right. You yeah, you're
Uh,
doing your own thing.
I was doing I was doing Schofield minus the jazz. Um,
Okay.
But and then because I knew I wanted to go to study and move to London, I looked at who the faculty was at Guildhall and all these places,
Yeah.
um, and then had a few lessons with Mike Outram and Adam Goldsmith,
Yeah.
um, which was, I mean, Adam is the reason I then found out about Nigel.
Hmm.
He was the one who kind of kicked my ass about reading and everything else, and actually gave me the reality of like, oh, there is a world outside of doing functions and everything else. It's like
Hmm.
seeing there's you can make a career out of it, and that was pretty eye opening. I mean, Adam was a really great mentor and very honest about the industry, which I also think is very important because I don't know if you've experienced this, but the amount of people I speak to at a young age who have this sort of distorted mentality that it's like you go to a music college,
Mm.
graduate at 20, and then suddenly Dua Lipa is like, "Hey, do you want to join my band?"
Yeah.
Or like,
I tell you this now. Sorry to interrupt, but I have one living with me at the moment.
"Oh, really?
So my daughter wants to go to the Brit School.
Yeah,
She just turned 14, and they do an intake on year 10 and year 12, I think. And she says, I want to do the intake and go in there and start in September. And we're like, all right, okay, if you want. So we got all the things together, and I was literally just driving. Me and my wife went for breakfast. We're driving back, and my wife said, she said, I said to Amelia, you're not like, if you want to be an actor or you're an actress or you want to do music or theatre, drama, all that stuff, you're not going to come out of the Brit School and then you're going to be a famous actor. And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, like it's a hard job. And most actors are broke. Most musicians are broke. Everybody's like, it's a struggle. It's work. You're not, and it's just maybe dawning on her that if you want to do it, you can do it, but it's not easy, and you're going to
yeah,
have to
yeah."
work fucking hard at it.
That's it. That's amazing, and it's great you've had that chat because I mean, I don't mean to sound so negative, Nelly, on stuff, but I always push. If you know that there's nothing else that you want to do, then go
Mm.
for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't academic. I wasn't anything. I was like, I knew that was what I wanted to do, and I'd probably be, it's like a Call of Duty aspiring influencer or something if I wasn't doing this. I don't really have, I knew it was a no brainer for me, and I kind of I don't know. I think that's kind of the way that you should take it, rather than I don't know. The amount of people I've met who are um, the parents just don't really get it. And it's, I think it's because of Instagram being your CV and
Mm.
everything else these days. I mean, that's how I think of it as well. But people see your Instagram, they're like, cool, you're doing cool stuff, blah, 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 blah. Your quality of life must be amazing. It's like, no, but you
Yeah.
don't see the rubbish stuff, and you don't want to put that stuff online. It's,
Mm.
your Instagram is basically your website.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how, my view on it anyway. And I don't want to put a bunch of negative stuff on my website. So
Yeah.
why would you do that? And so would they get this distorted view that everything is perfect and that it's all easy, but they don't see the hard work, and they don't see, the hustle of putting
Yeah.
in your pilot 10,000 hours or whatever it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is, I think, so true. And um, the idea that you're going to become a film composer at age 20, suddenly
Mm.
Zimmer's going to be like, cool, come work for me. I've got
Yeah. Yeah.
Interstellar 2's coming on.
Well, did you know that I haven't double checked this, so I don't know if it's true. But first thing is, I didn't realize just how many films Hans Zimmer has done. Like I've been going through like an 80s,
Sure.
early 90s movie binge, and his name just keeps cropping up on like the most random films. I'm like, oh fuck, he did the music for this. Uh,
Uh,
but he also composed the music for a game show called Going for Gold in the 80s and 90s. And I can't remember the theme tune, but I haven't double checked it. But I'm sure I read it or I heard it from somewhere. But that's where you start out. Like
yeah, yeah.
if you're gonna come out of college, unless you're like fucking exceptional, or you've already got a foot in the industry through a parent or through a good friend,
Uh,
you're coming out and you're going to be doing bar gigs, pub gigs, weddings,
yeah.
functions.
I mean, and with, I promise this is the last moany negative thing I'm going to say, but
No, I mean I'm
the
45. Moaning
the
negative things that's what I do now.
the reality of, and talking about music service as someone who comes from, not an upper class family, of where the music service and subsidized stuff was so important, and it's the only way I managed to do it, aside from practicing, I guess. But um, I had so much support when I was younger from music services and, state education.
Mm,
Um, Nowadays, I mean, Norfolk Music Service don't have one-on-one lessons. The school, there's no one-on-one tuition in schools. It's all groups.
yeah,
Half the groups don't exist. Um, and so it's slowly being pushed, more and more pushed. It's just basically going to be people who can afford to pay top money for private lessons. And, you're meeting these, I don't know. They're just. It's like the wealthy parents are just throwing money at kids, thinking that means that they're going to be successful
yeah,
in music. But the state stuff for lower and working class families just isn't there now, and
yeah.
it's I can't really remember where we were before this, but
No, that's fine.
um,
Tangents are good.
yeah, it just it frustrates me a bit because they with that reasoning. I mean, I used to work in a cafe, and I remember the condition of me quitting this was that I tried to earn some money as a musician. It's
Yeah,
like, either like I did a couple of guitar lessons, but I started doing some functions and stuff like that. And so
mm,
suddenly I was, working on a Saturday night, and I'm making more than I would for a couple of days of, working in a cafe or whatever.
yeah,
And doing, going to do Amdrams for 15 quid, 50 quid a week or whatever it was. I feel like a lot of kids won't want to do that now because suddenly they've
mm,
got an allowance coming to their bank account and they
yeah,
want a social life. But the reality is, once they finish, it's just, yeah, it's not very true. And I do worry that that's going to be um, if you don't get your pilot hours,
mm,
the reality is, with the amount of turnout these colleges and schools are pushing, you meet the people. I mean, Jacob Collier was a couple of years above me at junior academy, and I remember
yeah,
watching him play, and you're like, oh wow, he just started doing the YouTube videos and was
yeah.
amazing. and you're like, cool, he is going to be massively successful. You meet the
Yeah.
people, you're like, wow, they are exceptional at such a young age, but they have put the time in, they have played a lot, they have put their hours in. And I
Yeah.
worry that it just, their courses are taking on 100 people a year. The percentage of people making it their primary amount of income from performing or, from functions or whatever will be so low.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to Guildhall and the statistic um, for private education to state was like 95-5.
Yeah.
And the percentage of people finishing who were earning their money from performing was, it was like 1%, 2% per year.
Yeah.
So it's this unrealistic expectation. And the fact that you are, it's not teacher student. It's like they're selling a product. You're spending 11 grand a year on a
Mm.
loan to study for these places. It's really tricky. I mean, that's not me shitting on. I think it's really important to have higher education in music and whatnot, but
Of course.
I think there's not enough people. It was really hard on me. I mean, Adam's obviously one of the most successful guitarists in the country,
Mm.
Goldsmith, that is. But hearing him being like, there's times where you'll need to sell a guitar to pay for your boiler.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
Fuck.
yeah.
Yeah. There's loads that I want to unpack on what you've just said, but I think like the place I want to start with first is what do you think we can do to solve these issues? What do you think needs to be put in place to ensure that
Uh,
first of all that music and music lessons and instrument lessons are available to everybody?
mm, which
I think that's the start.
Yeah, and I know Ed Sheeran is starting something with,
Yeah.
because I know he's speaking to he called out Keir, and I think kind of pointed out, because he's from my neck of the woods, and
Yeah.
I think Suffolk, being a pretty similar county to Norfolk, I think will be in a very similar situation. So he yeah, my thought process is that one-on-one tuition is the key, is the cure, really.
Do you think, and that's one-on-one lessons in school?
Yes, state subsidized. Oh,
Subsidized.
yeah,
Put your teeth in.
my lisp is going hard today. Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm doing some sort of initiative next year. I thought I was going to push to do some sort of fundraiser and or charity thing for instruments, but as in giving quality instruments to schools
Mhm.
in the Norfolk area or
Yeah.
to individuals. But having spoken to a fair few people in the music education, I think the money is going to be better spent for tuition,
Yeah.
because they used to employ people full time who would be providing, they would be in schools 5 days a week. The kids would be paying, whatever, £9 for a half an hour lesson or something like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which now they are going in and doing groups of 20 or something like that.
Which is, I think, ridiculous.
Yeah. And, face-to-face time.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, I mean, I'm 29, and when I was buying, getting my first guitars and stuff, and the price difference and what you can get for your money, I think these days, I've got a PRS SED GT there, which is,
Yeah.
I don't know what they retail for, like £650,
Yeah.
£700.
Yeah. I've got one right here as well.
Is it? Honestly, I think it is one of the best guitars I own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I use it so much, and people, because it's gold, people think it's expensive and love
Mm.
it, but it sounds incredible. And
Yeah.
for a guitar that is that sort of price, of where it's, that's a guitar you could be using at such a professional level.
Yeah. Have you
Compared,
tried it? Have you tried any of the Harley Benton guitars?
no,
I haven't heard a bad word against them, and I've seen a couple of videos, and people are like, this guitar is under 300 quid, and
wow.
I'm out gigging it tonight. It's that good.
Yeah, Harley Benton. I think that's my first guitar. I got a Harley Benton,
Right.
my first electric from eBay,
Okay.
with one of those little crate things. But Yeah, the Sire stuff is amazing.
Yeah,
I've tried the basses, but I'm really curious about because there's the Larry Carlson.
I just saw again another video saying this guitar. No one's
Mm,
talking about. Is it the Sire H7?
yeah,
And he said it's just like it's under
yeah, yeah,
500 quid, and it's a
yeah.
usable, giggable, professional instrument.
That's it. I'm looking for something. I do a fair bit of jazz stuff where I need to fly, and it's, I never want to check in any of the kind of art shops and stuff. So that's why I was looking at the Sire stuff, because
Yeah.
if you can get one for like 300 quid, 250 second hand,
Mm.
I wouldn't be worried about chucking that in a case and checking it in the hold. It's,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's and the quality is amazing. So yeah, I think with that sort of stuff in mind, and like we're saying about like small amps these days, you can get a little. I've got what is it? The positive grid things behind
Yeah.
me,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, which is again really cheap. It's Bluetooth. You can put backing tracks on it. I
Mhm.
think I got that one for like 80 quid or something like that,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. It sounds amazing.
See, I think that the entry level guitars, the floor has risen like to a point because
Yeah.
I used to work in a music shop in the early 2000s, and the entry level guitars like Squier, Yamaha,
Mm.
Pacificas. The Pacificas were always pretty good, but like the Fender Squiers they were just shit.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
you put your hand under it.
yeah, but what we're getting through now, like entry level guitars, are borderline good enough to go and start using on shows. But on the
Oh,
other hand, when you want to look at the high end stuff, the price has increased massively.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've got um. This is a Core DGT.
Okay.
I got that because I needed something that was less poorly, and um, I'd seen some videos and tried a couple, and I was like, wow, that is amazing. I bought one of those. Then when I went to try some stuff with the PRS guys, he was like, try an SE,
Mm,
DGT. I picked up and I was honestly like, wow, I'm so depressed that I don't know, was it 10 times as much or something like that, or five
yeah,
times as
yeah, yeah,
much? I'm like, they sound different,
yeah,
but and wood quality, neck and stuff. But that at the SEDGT is the SE Silver Sky, all of that, the PRS stuff. I play a lot of Eastman. Their stuff is super reasonable,
yeah,
and the quality is insane. I
yeah.
just compared to buying, half the stuff you'd buy 10 years ago, and it would just be an absolute dog.
Mm,
I think they're so, it's so affordable. But like you say, the high end stuff is,
yeah.
I mean, you you can't. It amazes me when I meet people who have like brand new Gibson stuff, age 16, and you're like, wow, you know, um,
Trust fund.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
How's Dad's dental surgery?
yeah, I was looking at like this was 10 years ago. I was looking at getting one of the Sir guitars,
Mm,
and they were about 1800 new. And I didn't pull the trigger on it, and I left it. And then I went back to look at them a couple of years ago. Like the same guitar's now hovering around 3 grand.
yeah.
And I was like, well, and then I spoke to a guy, I don't know if you know Dave at Eternal Guitars.
Oh, yeah. I've heard such good things.
Like I spoke to him. I was like, what's the starting price for a custom build? And he's like, two and a bit, depending on a few little things. If you want some extra, I could put extra stuff on it. I could push it towards.
Yeah,
I said,
crazy
so if we took, say, one of the Sir guitars at 3.2 or 2.8, he said, yes, I can guarantee you one of my custom builds at the lower end is better than what you'd get from Sir.
for sure, for
I
sure.
was like, well, so why aren't people getting just custom builds? Why are people spending? Is it just the name? Is it just the brand? They just want to drop 3-4 grand on a Fender or a Gibson or a Sir?
For sure. I played a bunch of Atkins stuff. I have one of their acoustics, but I tried. I was looking at doing one of their tellies or Strats this year or last year, and again pricing compared to. I played went to Coda, played a bunch of custom shop master build stuff. Honestly, I was like, this is absolute crap.
Mm.
Um, most of them, I just the build quality and quality control was so awful.
Yeah.
And then I went, I met the Atkin guys at a trade show, and their stuff of where, you know, if you, I think you can buy from them directly and whatnot. The build quality is so mega, and they'll do
Mm.
custom builds because they're, you know, it's a small like operation. I've heard the Eternal stuff is killer.
It's just
Um,
it's like all of my guitars, like the PRS that I got. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, no,
all the other bit, all my like my Yamaha Pacifica, which has been bastardized to death to within an inch of its life. All of it just goes to him now. Other people have
wow,
looked at it, it comes back, and I'm like, this, it's scratchy. The fucking the
yeah,
pot's
yeah,
scratchy. So everything just goes down to him. And when I find myself with a spare 2.5 grand, I will be getting a custom.
mate. Um, Christmas is round the corner.
Yeah,
Yeah, big. If you get a big stocking, then you know you
yeah, yeah.
get the points out.
Unfortunately, like alluding to Adam's point, we've got to redo the electrics in our house, so I can't be getting anything.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Yeah, I mean, I've been pushing the amount of students, especially people who are kind of getting into jazz and stuff, and they're like, "Cool," even maybe like professional guys, and they'll be like, "What, you know, what art shop?" I was looking at getting you know, a new Gibson 175 or something, and
Yeah,
you're like, "No, don't spend $3 grand.
yeah.
Get an Eastman 175." And
Pocket the rest of the money.
it'll cost you 1,200, and then that's your, you know,
Yeah,
that's your tax bill, you know, helping out.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The I mean, yeah, I'm a big advocate for the Eastman stuff's killer, all their acoustics. I A-B'd, I mean, I've got one of the OMs, which is I really wanted one of the John Mayer OMs,
yeah.
and I came away with an Eastman. That's all I'm
Okay,
going to say, and
fair enough.
and about $2 grand
Yeah,
saved. But yeah, it's great because it's making there's still a lot of brand snobbery going on.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I've got this Eastman Les Paul thing. This is not an advert, but
right. Yeah,
I've got this like I think it's supposed to be like it's like 59 spec,
yeah,
beautiful. I don't know what the you know, it's like the aged violin stuff, so it chips, and I've scratched it.
yeah,
Looks amazing. It's aging great. Got lollas in it. It's so light for a Les Paul. It's
yeah.
lighter than any. I tried a bunch of the made to measure ones, and it's crazy. They're all like they picked light wood. It's all hand finished. It's amazing quality, and that's about $1 grand less than the Gibson Standard.
Mm.
And the amount of people I've played it or given it to, and they're like, "Wow, this is," you know. But then they'll still be like, "Oh,
Not Gibson.
it's not a Gibson. It's not as
Yeah.
It's not as pointy." And it's like, yeah, well, it's
It's also not going to break your back.
yeah. I mean, that's the
I don't
most
know.
important thing for me.
I don't know how people do that.
Yeah. We were talking about fixing the music
Yes. So
education
yeah,
crisis.
I mean, I think one-to-one lessons are really essential. Like I do peri teaching. I do quite a
Great.
bit. I do 3 days a week. Uh, one junior school, one high school. The junior school that I'm with do because I know you mentioned an initiative that you want. I've got something in my head that I want to take to the head teacher. They do what's called wider ops, and every year 4 student for a whole year they get their own violin and they have weekly violin lessons. They do it in a class, so they don't do it one on
Whoa.
one, but that's all subsidized by the school. And I had the idea because I think every summer they do I think it's called like sports week or PE week. And
Yeah.
essentially the whole week is just PE. And I want to take the idea. So why don't we do a whole week of music? And
Great.
we could get in. I mean, they already have a drum teacher. They've got violin, piano teachers, guitar teacher. I said, why don't we we could get like a singing teacher in, and we could just have each year rotate through each instrument per day for a whole week.
That's amazing.
I,
Where are you
mm.
based? I don't
So
think I've asked.
I'm in Sutton, near
Oh,
Croydon.
amazing. Which I'm sure has a great music service, and um, yeah, Southwest seems to be, or South seems to be very blessed in general with
Mm.
saying that. And some places up north, I've done some kind of workshop stuff up north, and You're like, wow, this is kind of crazy that they, the amount of stuff they have going on. Norfolk's a weird old bubble of, I think there's where it's so spaced out and it's all trusts and
Mm.
academies now. It's all, yeah, it's a bit sad,
Yeah.
but that sounds amazing, and that's giving me some good thought. I mean,
Yeah.
I've spoken to quite a few people recently, and there's, I don't know, it seems a lot of people are, um, yeah, thinking of doing something similar. But yeah, it's just, yeah, it's very tricky. But I feel like we everyone should, who benefited from that sort of thing younger, when
Mm.
when you're younger and developing. I think it's quite important that there is some element of giving back,
Yeah.
and it's not even pushing people to go to the profession.
Yeah.
It's the importance of music for development, for
Mhm.
brain, especially.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't really sing, but I feel like everyone should probably do some singing,
Yeah, yeah.
even a way of just being able to kind of present or talk in.
Mhm.
Maybe my lisp would have sorted itself out if I was doing a bit of that when I was younger. But the power of actually being able to, of how much of a workout your brain gets when you're reading music, or if you're doing a show or playing in an orchestra, playing in a rock band.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing thing that I know you know too, but everyone should experience it.
I agree. I think it's the access to it should be easier. I think access to the instruments should be
Mm.
easier. Like there's a couple of schools that I used to teach at last year that I just left because the music room was the same room that they used for like after school club, and there was like
Mm.
pots of paint and paintings and shit dumped on
Yeah.
top of the piano. The guitars were left in the toilet, and I was like, where's the music room?" So we haven't got a
Yeah.
music room. Okay, well, where's the music teacher? We don't have a music teacher. I was like, you have to have both. You have to have.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm out. I'm done.
I did a day. What kind of got this started was, I did a day at a really nice school, Southwest London, um, doing basically like adjudicating. They have a rock and pop
Mm,
day competition thing. And so me and a couple of other people were sitting there watching. Each year group has 3, 4 rock bands, pop bands, people doing going as soloists, organizing their own bands, or using a house band. And I came away from that, and it was honestly amazing. I mean, the facility, they have amazing theatre there. It's the sort of
yeah,
place, that you could sell tickets at.
yeah,
They And the standard there of where they have 3, 4 guitar teachers, they have a dedicated bass teacher, of course, all one-on-one tuition, um, and some amazing people in the faculty and visiting. They have so much going on there, and I came away in the day, and it was something crazy, like 100 people, or 80 groups or soloists came and did it,
mm,
and it's because the school pushes that you do 2 instruments
okay,
from day one. Admittedly, it's very, very costly private school, and there's a lot of, like, actors' kids go there, Russian
yeah,
stars or whatever, and also industry people. But everyone is pretty much involved in an orchestral instrument and a pop or rock instrument. So they're playing loads of, it's amazing to see loads of young girls playing bass
yeah,
and stuff like that. And the quality was just unreal. I mean, some people, I spoke to a bunch of guitarists who were like, oh yeah, I'm going off to the Royal College next year to do classical guitar, but then they were doing, some Randy Rhoads kind of
mm,
Aussie solo or something.
okay. What
And
was the name of the school?
Ibstock Place. I used to teach there. I
Okay,
should caveat. I
all right,
for a couple of years, but it was it's such an amazing school, and I came away being really fulfilled, but equally a bit depressed of when I got home and then looked at what was happening in Norfolk, and I was like, wow, like,
yeah. I mean, I don't think you can compare like a private school like that to state school. I think you're always going to be
do, do,
disappointed.
do you think, I feel like the divide has got, knowing the schools, the state schools, the academies in Norwich when I was around, being a few with really amazing music departments.
Yeah.
And, I appreciate these days it's like they're ultimately, it's, they're investing a lot more in that stuff. They know that's a selling point. And of course, um, like you say, it can't be compared, but it's like all or nothing
Mm.
compared to seeing that sort of thing of where they have 6 bands per year group. And
Yeah.
then there's not even in half the schools that had really flourishing things 12 years ago, there's not even a single, like, there's nothing apart from a school orchestra, which is probably about 12 people.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, it depends on the school. Like I said, there's some junior schools and high schools that I used to teach at last year that I left just because
yeah.
they weren't aligned with my kind of what I think music at a school should be.
Sure, sure, sure.
But like I said, the junior school that I teach at, they're really, really, they're really, what's the word? Keen isn't the word I'm looking for, but we'll use keen. They're really keen to get teachers, students into instruments, even if it's Perry lessons. Like I said, they do the
Yeah,
wider ops things for year 4. When I've gone to the head teacher, I said, "Look, the drum kit needs reskinning. One of the guitar necks is broken. I need the music stands are falling apart. I need to, like I've gone in as a Perry teacher asking for new music stuff,
yeah.
and she's been like, "Great, just go get it." I was like, "Cool." So yeah, the heads is she's really good with things like that.
Yeah, and like you say about the schools that are doing sports weeks and stuff, it's often the money is there and the priorities. I think where we've had a government that is very open that the arts aren't a priority on their educational,
Mm.
I hope,
But they're always quick to hire an orchestra for any of their events.
yeah,
So
um,
yeah,
yeah. Well, yeah. I think we could probably talk about this sort of stuff all day. It's really tricky. But then you see, yeah, the focus on sports, the focus on, um, yeah, I don't know. Do people even want to go in sports these days? Everyone wanted to be a footballer when I was younger, but now I
I
think everyone, all the young people who are just like, oh yeah, I want to be a Twitch streamer.
see that's why I think sport is good.
Sure.
That's why I think going out and doing sport is just as important as doing like any other subject. And I think to say, look, we're going to have, I don't think it should be either or. If you're going to do a sports week, we'll keep the sports week, but let's do a music week.
Yeah, yeah,
Fuck it. Why don't we do a science week? Why don't we do a maths week? Why don't we do a week where kids are just reading books? I mean, that kind of stuff should be done evenly across the academic year anyway. But if, like, especially if music is being so kneecapped, I think we should. I think that's why it's a good idea.
yeah. It kind of surprises me seeing how much value that the industry does bring.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at how much money theatre brings in, even like the West End for London,
Mm.
compared to, or I'm kind of putting musical theatre and the West End in that sort of, it's not classical, it's more on the popular side
Yeah.
of music. But then the amount of money that's thrown towards opera
Mm.
and stuff like that, which there are so few venues in comparison, it's kind of bonkers to me.
Yeah.
This Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised that with the amount of money that it's bringing in, that the government's being so concentrating on money,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they're benefiting from it. That I'm surprised there's not a bit more investment going into that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's investment
Yeah,
because you'll get it back later. But anyway, and like I said, we could talk about this all day. But I want to talk about the National Youth Jazz Orchestra
of
and your your
course.
your time in that.
Yeah, I was so lucky. So nuts. Adam, I had a couple lessons with Adam when I was 16, 17. Probably 17 before going, and he recommended because he was an alumni.
Hmm.
So the way it typically works is that they have a core band who are there, who get paid to gig.
Wow.
So you get a token amount to basically kind of cover. You're there doing time. They do outreach, or they did I will caveat and say that I don't really know what I know that they've had a big overhaul in recent years, and it doesn't exist in the same way
Okay.
now. But when I was doing it, you would be doing gigs, and typically they would try and, as a way to fund the gigs, fund paying everyone, fund the coaches and stuff.
Yeah.
They would be doing outreach projects. So normally you would have a couple of schools, few big bands. If there was a county big band, you would, you'd get there in the morning, you'd do a day's worth of workshops with these schools and
Hmm.
stuff, which is really great, getting teaching experience, helping out, giving back. They also were receiving a lot of Arts Council funding, which also helped this. Um, so there's a level of responsibility aside from let's go play some really hard jazz
Yeah.
and learn to sight read. Um, trying to make it fit into the world of today, of where there has to be some sort of like um, charitable side to something that's getting funding.
Yeah.
Um, so they have the chairs who have it, 20 odd of them. One guitarist, obviously, one of each instrument. They have depths, so if you can't do the gig, but they would be very up for letting you sit in on rehearsals, which is what I did. And I sat in, at the time, amazing guitarist Rob Luft was doing it.
Hmm.
Who is now jazz superstardom, releasing albums on ECM and stuff, touring the world. He's, incredible.
Cool.
Um, and I remember sitting in with him, and he's insane reader, technical facility, really unique. This generation sort of Maffini, I think,
Okay. Wow.
um, with the sort of different, his unique voice, but he could equally read and, play funk guitar. It was really, really great, killer guitarist. So I sat in with him once and was like, wow, this is amazing. And then whenever a ballad came up or something boring, he'd be like, "Oh, do you want to do this one? I'll go get a coffee and have a wee." So then you'd be like, thrown under. And then I remember a few weeks later, he'd been doing it since about 16, since about 18, I think, when he moved to London, from kind of crazy young age.
Yeah.
And he was, probably 4 or 5 years older than me. And one following week, um, I said, "Oh, can I come sit in again?" Like sitting in on a show. And he said, yeah, cool. And then on the morning he said, oh shit, I completely forgot. I'm actually not at the rehearsal today, and I haven't booked anyone. Do you want to do the rehearsal? And then he never did another rehearsal.
Okay.
He kind of had enough. And I think that I did one and managed to kind of get through it,
Yeah.
through the skin of my teeth. And also, I wasn't afraid to take stuff, because you are playing a lot of repeated material. You're preparing stuff for gigs.
Yeah.
So I wasn't afraid to, if there was certain things written by, not non-guitar things, stuff that's really hard. I was like, cool, I'm going to take it home and I'm going to practice it
Yeah.
and learn it. Which is, I don't know, I think the reality of the gig economy these days. And if stuff is going to be really hard, you're reading a guitar feature on a gig,
Mm.
you hope that people will be like, cool, it is really hard. Here you go. I'll email it over a week before,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So I was, I think I was 18 or 19 and I started doing it. I did it for about 4 years and it was absolutely amazing. I kind of caught the tail end before the Arts Council funding started to dwindle, and then they had to, I think the band is disbanded as a big band now, which is very sad.
Yeah.
And because they lost funding and varying other things. But I really caught a tail end of it being, I was the worst person in the room, which I
Hmm.
think is, I don't know, so valuable, of being like, cool, not only do I have to read the notes, but it says the volume underneath it,
Yeah.
which means I can't be too loud in general.
Yeah.
And, oh, I'm doing, this note is long, this note is short, cut-offs, being able to like having to play a phrase with the trumpet player
Hmm.
is, that they are taught about doing long shorts, and especially with swing rhythms and stuff like that. Interesting articulations, which again is another thing that you just don't. They're doing that from early days, and
Yeah.
brass bands and big bands. So then as a guitarist thinking about, cool, I actually have to, you know, I have to think about that stuff. And
Mm.
and when sax is just slurring long phrases, what's the way I can kind of emulate that more on guitar
Yeah.
rather than just hard picking on a bridge pickup or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
But it was such an amazing experience. We had a big variety of music, swing stuff. We would have people coming in and kind of covering the band because it's just there's a full-time salaried MD, but he would have weeks off, and then you'd have some amazing people who run like Ronnie's big band would come in and do a thing, or visiting artists.
Mhm.
I got to do um, they did a guitar workshop because it was at LCCM, which is where the band used to rehearse in London Bridge sort of way.
Yeah.
And they did a guitar workshop, and they got Mike Stern in, who was
Oh.
gigging, and they said, "Oh, we basically we don't really want to open it up to the public because it's we're kind of we so the idea is that, oh, just going to get like the Nigel guitarist and then some
Yeah.
deps." So I got to play with Mike Stern, and
Oh,
he was giving me like a live workshop and roasting me. And this is
wow.
after he'd been hit by the car. So he got hit by a taxi, I think, and he's basically can't grip a pick now.
Okay.
So
I didn't know that.
it's something pretty horrific. Like he basically fell forward like that, and
Yeah.
shoulders just came through.
Fuck.
So
Ouch.
yeah, he uses wig glue on his fingers.
Okay.
Um, and we got up there, and he was like, "Oh, should we just do a blues or something?" And then we did it. All these guitarists sitting there watching rhythm section. We got for a blues, and he's gave some stuff, and I think he was like, "What do you want to do?" I'll do blues, and then I said, "Oh, but he was like, I'll pick something now. Should we do giant steps?" And
Oh,
so
okay.
in front of a big group of guitarists, we did giant steps whilst he kind of roasted me
Mm.
on volume 11 with a chorus on. And yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. And Nigel, like you said, you've spoken to a bunch of people who
Mm.
have done it. In the band when I was doing it, the amount of people who you'd speak to, trumpet players, trombonists, sax players, and be like, "Oh, after the rehearsal on Saturday, I've got to leave early at 1:30 because I've got two shows,
Yeah.
or I'm doing a tour or something."
Yeah.
And you realize it's like, oh, because it's a band from 18, and I think the age cap was about 28 or something like that.
Okay.
So you were legitimately meeting like professionals and getting amazing depths in. And then at alumni event, I'm at the 100 Club. I met I don't think Goldsmith came, but I remember meeting Tommy Emerton there, and
Yeah.
Pete Callard,
Mhm.
and Chris Allard.
Right.
Um, and I'm trying to think who else, and a bunch of old boys who did it in, Nigel used to be very, very, very celebrated thing. It'd be on a lot of TV shows as like
Mhm.
the house bands. So as it's for as long, for probably about 50 years or something like that. It's been uh, brewing musicians to kind of push them in towards that session theatre pop world,
Yeah.
um, because it's the hardest music you'll ever play, you know,
Mm.
compared to then going and doing some, jingle on a banjo.
Yeah. Let's because I know like time's running short. We've nattered for so long. So what does your practice look like?
Well, I
Oh,
kind
wait,
of
ask you married, kids?
not married, girlfriend.
Right. Okay. So
Um,
okay. So what? Yeah. What does practice look like today?
so I've kind of changed this a lot. Um, I've never been an amazing practicer. When I
Hmm.
was at Guildhall, I was doing a lot, and yeah, I don't know. I kind of wanted to be. There was never. I never really wanted to be a jazz superstar. So for me, it was. I always knew I wanted to be a versatile guitarist who's doing a lot of different stuff.
Hmm.
not using the word session guitarist, but like
Yeah.
what that means it's in today's world being a freelance guitarist
Yeah.
who,
Jobbing guitarist.
yeah, exactly. I knew that was what I wanted to do. So I've always practiced a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
But then I go through periods of, I think if you're playing a lot and it's exercising parts of your brain, I think it's okay to be not doing that much at home, that
Mhm.
you've got to have off periods. This is at least my view on it. And time off is important both for your kind of chops. I mean, I can't play all day without, being a bit sore or
Yeah.
um but I've been, yeah, it's kind of changed a lot over the years. Practicing a lot at Guildhall, and then I went through a stage of not practicing a lot, and just because I was doing quite a lot of different stuff.
Mhm.
Whenever I'd be on a function, I'd be really trying to work on my time playing.
Yeah.
In West End stuff, you're playing the click, and you have the ability of an aviom, so you can kind of treat it like a bit of a practice session in that,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, and and more importantly, playing with people
Yeah.
rather than a click isn't you know it isn't musical playing with a click. It's it's there for a purpose. But if you've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
an amazing drummer like Mike Smith or Tim Goodyear or someone like that, you're like, cool. Well, I'm gonna like try and sound good with them rather than be like, cool, I sound great with the click, but then
Yeah.
they're sitting beautifully behind the beat and it sounds
Yeah, yeah.
great, and I sound like I'm trying to you know line
Push
it
'em.
up on Logic like I'm
Yeah.
playing Tetris or something. Um, so there's a lot of like purpose practice or like practicing on. I don't know. I'm trying to be as aware as possible about my playing. As I think I don't know. I notice uh, I've tried to be very observant of what I think people do really well, especially when I was younger. You're going to watch guys like I remember sitting in with Tommy when I was about 18, 19, just an absolute beast.
Mm.
And just being aware of what he is, l- you can tell what he's concentrating on and what he's doing really, really well. And then flipping that and being like, cool, I, I should be, rather than thinking about, oh, I've got to get through this tricky part of Legally Blonde, actually the bit I should be focusing on is actually making it of not rushing
Yeah.
or, am I hitting the strings so hard it's going a bit sharp?
Mm.
Is my when I'm doing finger style, you know, is it even or is it like my index finger is quieter than my ring finger or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to be as aware as possible these days, and I'd say for the last year I've been a lot better at actually diagnosing and scheduling practice time in at home.
Mhm.
So doing a lot of stuff at home now, which I've for the last few years I've not really aware. Yeah, I don't know. I've been fortunate to be reasonably busy, and if I've got hard stuff coming up, I'll learn it rather trying to be prepared, which is also something I'm trying to
Mm.
be better at. Because no one cares if you can sight read this. If you got
Yeah.
sent the music weeks ago, then you have to have it perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting better. I've got everyone's motivation dips, and like you say, if you have life going on.
Mhm.
Everyone has family things. You have bills to pay. You might be doing panto for 2 months, and you know you're doing panto for 2 months. Cool. I don't want to practice giant steps today.
Yeah.
That's fine. But yeah, I'm in a good place with motivation at the moment. I'm trying to be very aware, recording a lot of my gigs, um, recording just on phone and stuff, a lot of listening back. That's something that I learned from Tommy, which I really am very thankful for,
Yeah.
is that he uh, he coached my band when I was at Guildhall and would come in and record everything. He would
Mhm.
then go through it and give me notes. And equally, I'd be doing the same, listening back, being like, cool, I'm rushing. I'm not really making the bridge on rhythm changes every time.
Mhm.
Let's practice that.
Yeah.
Whilst I can't record every show or record sessions and stuff like that, I'm trying to have that mentality of being um, a lot of work on time playing because I think it's really important, and I think it's something that's overlooked very generally. Of the biggest criticism I hear of people is that they rush, or
Mm,
they can't, they move or whatever, or just can't play in time.
yeah.
So that's something that I think, I don't know, that's been a big focus for the last few years in particular. A lot of listening back to myself and small batches of practicing. I can't really do it for hours and hours. I've never
Mm.
been able to focus like that. But scheduling stuff, the great Mike Walker has a thing of, I don't know if you know Mike.
No.
I think he's based at Manchester Salford Way, like legendary jazz guitarist.
No, I may is he the guy that taught Jacob Collier?
Yeah, he would have given him some tuition, but I know Mike. I mean, Goldsmith's had lessons with Mike. He taught Mike Outram.
I
Mike
think
is
I had a lesson with him.
no way.
I think so. I'm pretty sure if we're that
He's
interested,
a
I'm gonna go
bit
for
a big bear of a man.
yes. Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
calming. But Mike is one of the best educators I've come across, and has such an interesting way of life and way of teaching. But
Yeah, I did. I had a lesson with him 2 years ago.
amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know why I only had the one, because he gave me some great stuff to work on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, I had lessons with him when I was like kind of rarely, when he used to come down and do stuff in London. I had probably like 5 or so lessons with him, and it was, you'd go in having some self-confidence
Yeah.
about you're strong at stuff, and then he'd be like, cool, we're going to just play over C major.
Yeah.
And then, oh, can we play over C major, or play over C major to F major, outline the chord tones, but only between frets 1 and 4,
Yeah.
then 5 and 8. It's just some really interesting teaching concepts that, I don't know, I've stolen a lot of it and still practice a lot of that stuff today, because I think it's, it's your pilot hours. You can
Mm.
never do it. You can never know the guitar fretboard, and there's always more ways to think about stuff and familiarity. And he has the pie chart thing of where you have whatever time you have half an hour.
Yeah.
You could break it up into 4 chunks, into 5-minute chunks, but just split the pie chart, write out some ideas about things you want to work on.
Yeah.
And I do that with a big variety of stuff. So I might be if I'm playing a lot of acoustic stuff, or practicing a lot of that stuff, practicing some classical, then I might
Mhm.
be like, cool, I'm going to then I'll do some pick stuff just to kind of flip the brain,
Yeah. Yeah.
get out the muscle memory, rather than thinking classical. Then I'll do some finger style. Then I'll do trying to have complete kind of resets to kind
Yeah.
of both keep some interest
Yeah.
and I don't know, kind of helps lubricate the brain, I reckon.
Yeah.
Um,
I like the pie chart thing. I read a book. Move my room around. I don't know what the book is called now. It's called something like the art of practice, or the practice of
mm,
practice. And the author, have you read it?
no, I don't know if Tommy's talked about it or not.
I can't remember who I heard it from. But anyway, the guy goes around asking every possible iteration of musician that he could find, from like first chair symphony orchestra violinists right down
Wow,
to indie singer songwriters. Like, and his thing was like, how do you get better? That was the whole premise of this podcast.
wow,
Um, And like he said, I met a cellist, 35-year-old woman, lived in New York, 2 kids. She only had 20 minutes a day to practice, and she would divide it up into 3-minute sections. She'd spend
wow.
3 minutes on this, and she'd be as religious and as meticulous as possible. But she did it every single day.
Wow. But you think about when you're doing a gig, you're doing a show, and say you get, or like a session, the first take is, the same as the first run through if you're reading something or doing.
Mm.
Your first take is like getting the notes in order, and then further takes, hopefully, is like ironing out any mistakes and getting some musicality or expression in there.
Yeah.
And you think say you're doing a session and you're recording a 3-minute song. It will hopefully get better after you've done it once. So then, if you think about that over that might only be 10 minutes, and you've done 3 takes of the song, and it's
Mm.
getting better and better. So with that sort of if you're treating your practice like that with small chunks, rather than, I know when I've done recordings and sometimes you might do 12 takes or something, and by take 6, take 7, you're just pulling your hair out.
Mm.
Like, I feel like it's getting worse.
Yeah. So now,
So,
now that's the time. They're saying that's the time you got to stop.
yeah, and that's kind of how I've always experienced my practice. I can never do, 8 hours a day. I think I'd
Mm.
rather. Um, a friend of mine in LA, Andrew Sinowick, is an amazing guitarist out there, does a lot of the film, big session stuff. He gets up a crazy time in the morning to walk his dog, and then comes back and does practice in the morning, because he knows he'll be working or doing live stuff. But that
Mm.
time in the morning is the golden. It is, before you have to suddenly start picking up the phone or
Yeah.
doing, none of that stuff. In the void of the morning, which is,
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. I've always tried to get up reasonably early, and
I
because
can't do it. I can't do it.
really,
I work better on the other end of the day. So when it gets to kind of past 10 p.m., that's when I'm doing my stuff.
see, I strip my other half has a muggle job, a normal job. So
Right.
she is I mean, she's now working from home 5 days a week, which is nice. But yeah, she was previously was working in office 5 days a week,
Yeah.
or 4 days. So evening time, if I'm back from a gig, it's, she's in bed.
Yeah.
So that's why the evenings have never really worked for me. I try and, whenever she's up at 7 or at 7 a.m. or something like that, I'm trying to get up
Mm.
and just get some time done. And also, yeah, getting those, we spoke about getting, when do you have time to program your helix and program your
Yeah.
quad?
Yeah.
those little chunks in the morning are the extra time before I find it's really useful, because I typically work most evenings. So I'm going to be out of the house from 6 if it's in town or something like that.
Yeah.
The daytime is scheduling it like that around my life stuff, if I have to do the washing or whatever.
Yeah.
But if I have any work to do, or any recording here or charts or anything to do, the time before, 7, 8, 9 in the morning is kind of the golden time. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite. I think Andrew gets up at God's. I mean, he's in the studio most days or working from home, so he can probably get an early night. But
Mm.
yeah, I'm not quite at that 5, 6 a.m. club yet.
Yeah. Fuck that.
And it's probably why I don't play anything like him. But that's, yeah. I'm finally having a bit more motivation for practice, and I'm looking forward to January.
Okay. What's going on in January? Not much.
Not much.
Fuck all.
Recording is normally, it's a good season because people come back from Christmas and New Year and get a bit motivated. So I've got some bits in there, weekend bits. I know I'm pretty busy from March, so I'm looking forward to January and February. Less gigs in the evening. People will be paying their tax bill, so won't be depping much. And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to getting a lot of practice in.
Same.
And chunks, and getting all that stuff sorted. It's the time to do your pedal boards and to
Yeah. I've already got I've got loads of loose pedals. I want to get those that on the board. So
yeah.
they're all going to get stripped down and
But yeah,
reorder.
I should say, I think listening. Yeah, I don't know what you think about like self-awareness for your playing and stuff, but that's something I'm trying to practice, because I think it's the amount of people I've met, or equally when you record yourself and listen back and you're like, oh, that didn't sound as good as I thought it did.
Yeah.
Being able to record and self kind of critique, or know what you did well.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really good thing to practice.
Yeah. The self-awareness thing for me has crept in. It's probably as I've gotten older, but the whole why are you putting that line in? Is that there to serve the song, or is that there to serve your ego?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Why did you make that choice over that change? Why, like that kind of thing? Like, what does it need? What does it sound like?
Yeah. Or when being like, cool, maybe I shouldn't have a coffee beforehand.
Yeah.
Um, Caffeine intake. But then again, the amount, I mean, I know the amount of musicians who are nailing coffees as they're starting shows, but then, still incredible players. So I
Mm,
think yeah, it's something you can train. I've got a good caffeine intake on a regular basis. So I'm hoping I'm kind of trying to, if I can manage to not rush and still drink a lot of coffee, then,
you're doing well.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Listen, Nick, we'll leave it there. Like, we're running 90 minutes, which is it. Like, it was great. It was lovely to talk to you. It was nice to finally sort of hook up, and
Yeah, yeah.
after however many years we've been messaging each other back and forth on Instagram.
Yeah, and
Thank you for your
now you
time.
can edit out the 88 minutes of me rambling and
Maybe we'll trim the school stuff down a little, but I firmly like I completely agree that things like music education is the thing that really needs to be looked at the most.
yeah, and yeah,
Particularly like grassroots kids should have easy access and good teachers as well.
yeah, and it doesn't take much to give back. You think about what if you had an influential person at the start of your career or that sort of eureka moment, you know, eh, I think everyone should try and be that person
Yeah.
for somebody, even if they're going to be a banker or,
Yeah.
a pilot or something, they'll still remember that sort of character. And it's not only your musical career, it's big character changes and character development.
Yeah.
The importance of music.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I agree. Couldn't agree more. But I will say thank you, and I will let you get on with whatever you've got going on for the rest of the day.
Awesome. Lovely to chat, Tim. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you, Nick. All right. Bye.